So this is going to kick off our introduction into ecology. We're going to start off with the topic of food webs and trophic levels, which play a major role in the ecological interactions between everything. But let's kind of start off with basically the definition of what is ecology. What is it all about? What does it mean? And the basic framework for ecology and what it's all about is it's all about interactions. Interactions between the different parts of the living and non-living parts of a habitat, of an area, of a location. And we're going to start to look at those interactions and see how different things interact. Different things play off each other, work with each other, work against each other, kind of thing. So if you look here, think about the ecology of this environment right here, you can think about all the different interactions of living things with each other in this environment. So you can think about this puffin that's over here in the corner, right? Okay, this puffin right here, it's sitting on that rock. Why is it sitting on that rock? Is that rock very convenient for its location? Is it a great spot for a nesting spot for that puffin? Why is it a great nesting spot for that puffin? Why is this lichen and orange growing right here? Why is it there? Like, what's great about that rock for that lichen to grow there, that inanimate object with the living object? Why are they interacting there? What is about that environment that does that? Why is this bird flying through the air over here? Is it hunting out in the ocean? Okay, is there a great nesting spot for it that's protected from predators? Or is there just a great food supply in the location? The green mold, grass, algae, whatever it is that's growing on this rock right here, okay, why is it growing there? Why is it not growing here in this location, right? What is it about that environment? What is about these interactions that really dictate what's happening in this ecological environment? That's what we're going to look at. So one of the main things that we're going to focus on in terms of ecology being interactions to start with, and one of the main ways organisms interact with each other, well, it's by eating. Okay, that's what we're going to talk about. Okay, it's the thing, something's got to eat something. Okay, that's how we're going to get energy. That's how things are going to survive. So to do that, we're going to talk about trophic levels. And trophic levels are just kind of where things stand in terms of the energy usage and consumption in an ecological habitat. So the trophic levels refer to different feeding positions of organisms. Okay, so see, you can read this at trophic level 1 down here. We've got this dandelion. It's what's called a producer. Okay, and then as you step up here to the snail, we're now at trophic level 2. Then we move up to trophic level 3 for the bird, trophic level 4 for the larger bird on top. Okay, so the trophic level kind of determines where your feeding position is in terms of this chain of organisms as they make their way up. Now, we start at the bottom. Those are our producers. Okay, those are what we're going to call autotrophs. Autotrophs is kind of a fancy way of saying producer. Basically, it's going to automatically make its energy. It doesn't need to consume energy from some other source. It's going to produce energy on its own. Okay, and a couple ways we can think about that is you have photoautotrophs, which are going to harvest energy from the sun. So that's like your tree right here, okay? Or some phytoplankton that are sitting in the ocean, floating around. They go through the process of photosynthesis, okay? Most of you probably have heard of that before, hopefully. So they're going through photosynthesis. They're taking sunlight and turning it into energy. You also have chemoautotrophs. They're going to harvest energy from chemical bonds. So this is a deep sea vent down here, okay, that's releasing energy from chemical bonds. And there are small living organisms that feed off that energy that's being released in those heat fissures deep down in the ocean. Usually these chemoautotrophs are not going to have access to sun. So that's why they've turned to taking energy from chemicals and using that to turn it into the energy that they produce to live off of. Okay, so now that we have our producers, we've got some energy stored up in certain types of plants or different species. Okay, now we have animals that are going to consume energy. Okay, these are the heterotrophs. Okay, they can't make their own energy. They need to get it from another source. Okay, snails can't produce their own energy. They have to consume the flower. This bird right here can't make its own energy. It's going to consume the snail. This bird on top can't make its own energy. It's going to consume this other bird. Okay, basically, these are animals that are going to have to rely on other sources for the energy that they need to survive. So we have different levels of consumers that we're going to talk about. We have primary consumers, who are the ones who are going to be the ones consuming the producers, right? Now, understand here, we're at trophic level 2, but we are a primary consumer. So there's a little bit of, might be a little bit confusion there though, but understand that trophic level 1 is down here at the bottom. Those are the producers. The first consumer is up here at trophic level 2. Then you have trophic level 3 and trophic level 4, which are going to have the secondary and the tertiary consumer. Okay, you could have a quaternary consumer too. Those would be even higher up on this food chain that you're looking at here. Okay, but basically you're talking about the things that are going to consume the things beneath them in the food chain that you're seeing. So there are some different forms of consumers. You have herbivores like the manatee there that's going to eat just plants. You have carnivores like the walking stick there that is only the praying mantis there that's going to only eat other insects. Okay. You have omnivores like a bear that will eat berries and fruit, but they will also eat fish and other forms of meat. Okay. And then you have decomposers. They're kind of a little bit of an outlier in terms of the food chain. We'll talk more about that later. But they are going to consume dead and dying tissue or dead and dying material of some kind. It might be a plant, it might be an animal. And those decomposers are going to break down things from different stages in the food chain and turn them back into nutrients for other things to use. Okay. So kind of another, if you think about it a little bit, we have this chain of species from starting at the energy from the sun, turning into the producers down here. Everything above is going to be a predator of the things below it. Okay, so a copepod is actually a predator, okay, to the dinoflagellates. Okay, an ocean sunfish is a predator to copepods, but it's not a predator to a small shark. A small shark is going to eat an ocean sunfish. Okay, and a large shark might eat a small shark. Okay. The thing that's up here at the top of that food chain, the thing that nothing is going to eat, so it has no natural predators, okay, is going to be the apex predator. Okay, there's nothing in the food chain that will eat, in the food web or food chain, that will eat that predator that's at the top. Okay, that is your apex predator for your system. So we have over here the food chain and the food web, kind of two examples of things that, two ways of thinking about the structure. So far, how I was talking to you about it, we were dealing with the food chain on the right-hand side. We're just kind of a straight linear progression from bottom to top. This is a simplified version. And this is a simple version. Okay, that allows to, let's try and actually write the word simple, allows you to create kind of a basic outline of how things work, but in reality, that's obviously, of course, not how things are going to work. Lots of different things are going to consume sunfish. Lots of different things might consume that smaller shark. This large shark is going to consume lots of different parts and lots of different animals in the ocean at lots of different levels. So the food web is more complex and it's more real. Okay, so you can kind of see how things are wrapped around each other and kind of things can jump levels. They may be a primary consumer in one path, or they might be like a secondary consumer in one pathway, but there might be a tertiary consumer in another pathway. And think about it like a bear too, right? A bear that's an omnivore. A bear will eat fish, which would be higher up on the food chain, on the food in terms of the tertiary structure, but it would also eat berries, which would be down near the bottom in the producers category. So you're going to have lots of variability within the complex food webs that really exist. So in thinking about trophic levels, it's important to think about kind of this pyramid structure is actually a good way to break it down, because what we're going to see is there's a lot of ways that this pyramid is going to detail out the differences between each of the individual levels. And one thing to think about is, how does energy get recycled and used in this system? Okay, so you can see sun's energy comes in at the bottom down here. Okay, the primary producers are going to make their like phytoplankton, seaweed, all those things. They're going to make their just grow, produce energy for themselves. Then the herbivores, consumers, that first row is again that first trophic level, that second trophic level, those primary consumers are going to eat those phytoplankton and eat that seaweed, okay, get their energy, okay, and then it's going to steadily make its way up going across the top. So each level is going to take energy from the level down below it. Okay. So a big thing we're looking at the energy in these trophic levels is the fact that they are only about 10% efficient in terms of giving energy to the level above. Okay, that means about 90% of our energy in each level is getting shipped off into heat energy loss, okay, some other place. Okay, so only 10% of the energy from the primary producers is actually being used to help the herbivorous consumers grow. And only 10% of their energy that they consume from the primary producers is being used for those first level carnivorous consumers in this pyramid structure here. So you obviously couldn't have this pyramid go on and on and on because, well, you're going to run out of energy pretty quickly and things aren't going to be able to survive with so little energy to pick from at their disposal. Okay, so some trends to know in terms of the trophic levels. Okay, size of the animals is going to increase as you go up. The farther you go up the pyramid, the larger the animal is going to be. Okay, so your dolphins are really huge up there at the top of this pyramid, whereas your primary producers, your phytoplankton, are extremely small on the individual scale. It's important to note. It's on the individual scale where that size is going to be different. The other thing too is that the population is going to decrease, which kind of goes along with size increasing. If you have a ton of dolphins just kind of hanging around, okay, it's not likely that you're going to have enough food to take care of all of those dolphins because, well, they're only getting, again, we're losing 90% of our energy as we go up the pyramid. So there's no way there's going to be enough primary producers to maintain a huge population of dolphins, right? So the population numbers are going to have to go down. Now the last one's a little tricky because that's what's called biomass. And that doesn't mean the mass of a single species, single animal, single species. That means the mass of every single one of them. So if we're to take the mass of all of the primary phytoplankton across the entire world and compare it to the mass of the dolphins across the entire world, the mass of the phytoplankton at the bottom would, by orders of magnitude, be greater than the mass of the dolphins or masses of the sharks or the albatross. Okay, and it's all because of that 90% energy loss as we go up the pyramid. Okay, so you got this idea of larger animals, smaller populations because, well, there's not enough resources for them to develop into really huge populations. Okay, if the populations of dolphins took off, well, there's no way you'd have enough. There's no way you'd have enough of each of these other things to actually support them. Okay, so that's why your population is going to go down as you go up. And it's why your biomass also needs to go down as you go up, because in order for all those other levels to have enough energy, you need to have a lot of the energy available at the level below it. Okay. One thing too, just to point out real quick, okay, are the decomposers on the side. Okay. Notice they're basically attached to every single level. They will work on every single level. They're going to work on decaying material in every single level, things that have died, things that are being reused, turned into new sources of energy. And you can see the output of those decomposers is back here into the primary producers, helping them have nutrients to grow, develop, and increase that population again, and sustain everything above it. So hopefully this gives you a good background into what we're talking about in terms of trophic levels and food webs, and then the activity you'll dive into should kind of enhance your understanding and knowledge of it.